Welcome, NoDQ Galaxy, back to the NoDQ review, and we are here with number 56. I am Virtue, being joined once again by the elite team of NoDQ, featuring myself, Aaron Rift, TJS, and Big G, wearing a Star Wars hat. Big G, what's up?
Nothing much. Just enjoying my days off. Been watching Law and Order SUV, trying to catch up. I'm on season 7. I think there's like 21 seasons right now, so I got a lot to do.
That is a lot. And are you binge watching or binge watching?
Binge watching.
That's what I thought you meant. Hey, TJS, where did you get that shirt? Did you find it in the hamper?
This baby right here? Oh, yeah. It was, I actually did laundry. I do it on Sundays, so finally got the NoDQ shirt out, and, got a CPAP mask, so I look like a Bane when I'm asleep. And I've got a job interview next week, so it's looking pretty good. So, unlike the WWE product and their ratings right now.
Are you able to wear that CPAP machine on the review one of these weeks?
Dude, I might do it. It covers my mouth, so it would just be like that. But that's
something interesting. We're trying to find interesting wrestling topics here. You know.
Obviously, wouldn't complain if something covered my mouth.
Well, it's just a thought. Take it into consideration. Maybe the NoDQ Galaxy wants to see it. Aaron Rift, how's it going?
I'm doing very well, thank you. And I'm glad that we're all wearing NoDQ shirts for once. 3 of us are matching here. It's so cute. But TJS, of course, wearing the old school NoDQ shirt. But hey, everybody's got a NoDQ shirt. Head over to NoDQ.com/shirts. I know we're doing the plugs early, but why not? I just feel good that we're all wearing the NoDQ shirts. Seems like it's more interesting than what is actually going on in wrestling right now. Although I think we do have a few interesting topics to discuss today. There were some news stories that made traction this week. So let's go ahead and get this started.
Well, before we get into any of those, Aaron, let's talk about the ratings. So I believe Hour 3 on Monday Night Raw was under 2 million, and even SmackDown had a rating under 2 million, and it's tanking. Look, I've said it before, and I'm going to say it again. What is your main event scene right now? It's Seth Rollins and AJ Styles. It's Kevin Owens and Kofi Kingston, and it's Becky, I guess you could say Charlotte and Lacey Evans. That's your main event scene. Roman's a mid-carder, people, right now. Roman Reigns is a mid-carder, and the ratings are tanking. But what's to blame? Is it the main event scene? Is it the inundation of indie and NXT talents into the main roster? Or is it all because of poor writing and creative? It's probably some of everything, but I want to hear everybody's opinions on what you think is the biggest culprit. I, for one, I understand bad booking and bad creative, right? There's no denying that when it's great, when it's good, people watch. But also, if there's no big stars, casuals don't care about wrestling. Only wrestling fans do. And the niche-based wrestling fans is about your 1.5 to 2 million people. Big G, start, man. What do you think? We got 3 scenarios here.
I want to say it's a little bit of both, but I think it has to do a little bit about the writing and the booking. I know it's difficult to write something and you have to keep maintaining it every single week, but you need fresh ideas, fresh people, fresh writers. My friend, literally, he's been watching wrestling, I think, as long as I have, and he decided to unfollow Raw on Facebook because he's getting sick and tired of how badly everything is. I don't know what to say. It's just it's horrible. The main event title scene, Roman not being a mid card is kind of weird, but eventually they need to put him back in the main event scene for, I guess, the ratings to get better. That's how I see it. I don't know how everybody else sees it, TJS.
Well, I think that Roman Reigns versus Elias is like the least intriguing match on the card at this point. And that's not Roman's fault. That's not Elias's fault. It's just that I just don't like the direction of this feud. How it's just piss poor to me. And
What's intriguing about Rollins and AJ and Kevin Owens and Kofi? What's intriguing about those?
those are matches.
Because they're wrestlers
No, those are
and they're gonna wrestle.
those are matches that we haven't seen. And I mean, we've had Roman versus Elias before, and I feel like it's just filler. I would rather see Roman in the main event scene. Trust me, I think that him versus Kofi would be good. And yeah, there's I mean, AJ and Seth don't really have characters, so you're right. It's for the technical wrestling thing, and I think it's weird that that's on Raw, because on Raw we're kind of used to more characters like Brock, Roman, Braun, people like that. But when it comes down to the actual ratings, I think maybe this is just a bad period for WWE. WrestleMania just ended. So they had the Raw after WrestleMania, and then, I mean, I feel like this is the point where everyone tunes out until SummerSlam, and that's when the casuals are really going to get back on board. And plus, as we say all the time, YouTube clips, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, they have all of those platforms to monetize and gather revenue from. So, now I don't know what you can really do to fix this. I don't know.
Have like guys that look like EC3. I'm not saying EC3, but I bring him up because it makes sense to you.
Yeah.
Have guys that look like that in your main event scene. So when those casual people still have cable, okay?
Yeah.
I know there's a lot of cord cutters out there, but when you're flipping through the channels, if you see Kevin Owens in the middle of the ring and Kofi, you think they're gonna stop? But if you see guys that look huge like a Lars Sullivan or a Braun Strowman, they might stop. Then when they do stop, you need the great creative because you got to keep them there. So that's why I think it's both.
I mean, is it possible too with the ratings, because a lot of people DVR it and they don't watch? They can skip through everything they don't want to watch nowadays.
I think DVR still counts for ratings. I think streaming messes things up though.
I don't think people want to sit down every week and watch 3 hours of TV with commercials. Same thing with SmackDown. That's just too much.
Well, they're even trying to shorten sports games, right? Like football games and stuff. But no, wrestling wants to be longer and longer.
Right. Yeah. It's oversaturation. That's one of the main problems, in my opinion. It's just too much content to watch. And let's face it, 3 hours of Raw, it's not a very entertaining show. I sit and watch it every single week because it's my job. And if it wasn't my job, I wouldn't be watching it. Bottom line.
You know who else said that, Aaron? Vince Russo.
Well, there you go. I mean, I agree with him. It's just not a fun show to watch for 3 hours.
Not anymore, no.
There are highlights every now and then, and that's why, for me personally, I'm just going to go on YouTube. If I'm a casual viewer, I'll watch on YouTube, I'll watch on Twitter, and then I'll watch the pay-per-views, and that's it. Raw and SmackDown are just not must-see shows anymore. Now, it's not just the writing. It's also, like you said, Virtue, it's the lack of star power. You don't have that larger-than-life top star to carry the brand. John Cena is pretty much retired now. He appears every now and then. Roman Reigns, I know you love the guy, but he's not clicking with that casual audience, you know. He is a guy that is pushed really strong.
Whoa. He's not clicking with that casual audience. He's not clicking with the smarks. If Roman's responsible. If he was gone, they would be even lower. He's at least bringing some of the casuals in. Look, kids love him. I see them buying their toys at Kmart and Walmart and Target. Yeah. Women love him. All over my Twitter feed, it's females loving Roman Reigns. Don't say that he's not bringing in casuals.
But that's a small amount of
network
people.
like John Cena had. Cena had Batista.
He's
had
not
Brock.
the people.
Had Shawn. Had Undertaker. Every era, they had supporting network. They had 5 or 6 big stars. Roman was the only guy, with the exception of a part-time Brock Lesnar. And people say he's failing as a main eventer because he has no supporting cast of main eventers to go with him like every other era did before.
Well, that is true. Yeah. I agree with you on that. There's one of the other problems is there's a lack of strong heels. I mean, you don't have any real strong heels on either brand.
Would it have been better if they kept Roman on Raw and put AJ on Raw as well and put Seth Rollins on SmackDown? You think that would have made a difference?
They didn't have this brand BS. It's stupid.
I feel like SmackDown is just going to be phoned in until October, and that's when it's really going to ramp up. That's what I feel like.
Well, let's hope so.
I wouldn't be shocked if another superstar shakeup right before then.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
is there anybody that you could see in the main event that could help? Like, not just the Roman Reigns, but can they do something with Braun Strowman instead of making him a joke? I know people are already bad-mouthing Lars Sullivan, but Big E, we've talked about Big E. Are there any of these other bigger-than-life type guys that can be put in the main event to help guys like Rollins and AJ, so casuals don't just look at two guys with long hair with, coming out of the shower wrestling? You know what I mean?
But they need to be pushed strongly, and they need a chance to succeed. If they get their legs cut from underneath them right away, then there's no chance for them to really build any kind of momentum. Unfortunately, Braun Strowman, I feel, is screwed at this point. He could have been a top guy. He's larger than life. When you see that guy, he looks like a superstar.
You're like, holy crap, yeah.
He has that presence.
Give it time.
You're in awe when you see that guy. He should be a main eventer, but he isn't.
Give it time with Lars Sullivan. I think in the next year or so he could hopefully be something big. If Vince lets him and Vince is not stuck in his ways and keeps on going back to past stars.
Yeah, well, the internet doesn't like Lars Sullivan. They already think he's Snitsky 2.0. So I feel like they're already not giving him a chance. I've always praised Lars Sullivan. I see a lot of potential in that guy. I said this from the first time I saw him wrestle. I think the guy could be a big star if they handle him correctly.
TJS, anybody you think could be a big star to be paired with guys like Roman and Brock and the ones we were used to seeing?
I think that if you turned Rusev heel, maybe that would help. The Rusev Day thing is dead. Maybe if he was monster heel again with like the tank and everything, maybe Rusev. I think Daniel Bryan is a good choice, even though he doesn't really have the look, but he has a great character, and if there's NXT guys we're talking about, Velveteen Dream has a good character, but I don't think he would get booed. Who is the most credible heel on SmackDown? I'm trying to think. It has to be Bryan, right?
Right. Well, at least Bryan is clear now, apparently, so that's definitely a positive, but that's not going to turn the numbers around.
Yeah, I mean, they're trying to use Kevin Owens, but we'll see. And let's talk about that right now, actually. So they turned Kevin Owens heel recently because Bryan's been out injured, which he might be coming back soon. I think that Owens turning heel is a means to an end. Kofi maybe drops the title to Owens, and then boom, Roman time. And I think they're going to actually keep Roman away from all of that scene for a while until we get closer to SmackDown Live on the Fox network. So what do you guys think? Do you think this Owens heel turn is to get it off of Kofi, or do you think they'll run it with Kofi for a while? Numbers aren't in his favor. TJS, what do you think?
I think they're going to run with Kofi. I think Owens is a filler opponent until SummerSlam. And I hate to say that because, I really liked Kevin as a babyface, except when he started doing the New Day stuff. That was just ridiculous. But I read a report on NoDQ.com about how they were going to make Owens like the typical American or whatever, even though he's Canadian, where he's hardworking, helps his family, lovable, eats junk food, whatever. And I thought that was, we haven't seen that kind of character in a little bit. Instead of just like the prize fighter, I guess that's a good character too. And I just wanted kind of a change of pace with the babyface Owens. But we're not getting that. I wonder if he's still going to use the stunner. Probably not. And but yeah, Kofi I think is going to beat Owens, and then maybe Roman versus Kofi at SummerSlam, and then you have Roman beat Kofi, and that would be something.
We might have to factor Daniel Bryan into it still too. Who knows?
I would like to see a triple threat at SummerSlam with Daniel, Kofi, and Owens, and maybe even Roman. Maybe you do a fatal four-way, and then you can have Roman pin Daniel Bryan or something. But I still feel like if he won the title, if he took it off Kofi, I still feel like he would get booed. But yeah, I don't think Kofi's going to have a short reign. He's not going to lose it yet, I don't think. Aaron.
Well, Aaron, the ratings are tanking, and I see Roman beating a heel at some point when he becomes a champ. Could you see him maybe winning on that first episode of SmackDown on
Yeah,
Fox. That's yeah. What do you think?
I think that's the most likely scenario for Reigns to be champion again. I'm curious to see what happens with AJ and Seth Rollins. I'm wondering if Brock Lesnar is going to crash the party at the next pay-per-view. And I've heard people speculating about Goldberg and what's going to happen with Goldberg. Are they going to do maybe Goldberg versus Roman Reigns, or have Goldberg go for the WWE title? So we'll see if WWE starts hot-shotting some title changes. Like, I would not be surprised if Kofi's reign is short just because of the numbers being down, and Vince might hit the panic button saying, you know what, Kofi's not, he really is in real life, not just in the storyline. He really is a B+ player. We got to get the title back on an A+ player. And yeah, I would not be shocked if we see a quick title change on both sides. I could see Rollins losing that Universal title back to Lesnar, quite frankly.
Yeah, and Aaron, I gotta agree with you. I mean, if Kofi has a long reign and the ratings keep falling down, I will be like, TGS, the only way I can believe that is if they are, like you suggested, wanting SmackDown to tank, so it looks like this great product when they just spice it up a little bit for Fox. Big G, what do you think?
Man, I think Kevin Owens will be the transitional champion eventually to get the Roman back on title. Like you guys said, SmackDown, when SmackDown goes to Fox in October. But I don't know. It's going to be difficult how long Kofi's going to – I don't know how long Kofi will be champion.
Well, he's got a plate of pancakes every week. I mean, seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking –
yeah, because you have money in the bank.
Long-term title reign with a plate of pancakes.
You have money in the bank coming up. I don't think Kofi's going to lose then. But what are they going to do when they go to Saudi Arabia, you know, if they are going to bring in Goldberg and –
Nice segue. Keep going.
Goldberg, you know, if they – I have a feeling whoever Kofi's going to face in Saudi Arabia, they're going to take the title off of Kofi there. And then I don't know how Kevin Owens is going to fit onto all this. He may not. But say Goldberg does win the WWE title, then you can have him face Roman on SmackDown come October time.
There you go. TGS, what do you got?
Okay, Aaron, you mentioned Seth dropping the title to Brock. Why would he do that? Because I feel like Brock's not drawing. Or I'm saying, how could Brock draw if he's not appearing?
Well, I feel like Brock could win the title in Saudi Arabia and then just go back to his usual part-time status, which I know that sounds dreadful, but I feel like there's a realistic chance that's going to happen here. Brock's going to win the title again, and then maybe they'll do Strowman and Braun again. I don't know. It just feels like the same old crap.
Saudi Arabia, round 3.
Yep.
Guess what? More Undertaker, more Bill Goldberg. Thanks to the money marks with the get-ups all over their heads. Now, look, in Saudi Arabia, they kill for treason publicly with beheadings and hangings. Like, what kind of country does that? Third world, in my opinion. But they got a lot of money, so they're not third world. TGS, what do you think with Saudi Arabia round 3? Now, yes, we know it's a 10-year deal, $1 billion deal, whatever. So they need this money because WWE's money is made globally. Domestically, they're bleeding. So what do you think with Taker, Goldberg? Are we going to see anybody else?
Oh, God. I love how WWE wasn't discreet about this at all this time. On the homepage of WWE.com, it said in like huge letters, WWE returns to Jeddah. So I mean, I guess they're gonna mention it now. They don't give a damn.
The new year.
Yeah. So they brought in Shawn Michaels for Crown Jewel, and Undertaker's been at both these Saudi shows so far, hasn't he? I think so.
Yep.
He has. Big matches, casket match, and that main event tag match.
And all the overseas, you know, even with Australia, he was over there too.
So maybe Goldberg's gonna make an appearance. God, I hope, because this dude gets blown up in like a minute. So I don't know how that's gonna. I don't know. I felt like when Goldberg retired this time, I felt like that was a satisfying conclusion. Just like how Shawn Michaels' retirement was a satisfying conclusion. But then WWE has to give us more. Yep. They want
Saudi Arabia money talks. The oil money talks. Aaron, any thoughts about this? I know back during that one in November, you were just like, please stop. You're old. You're slow. It doesn't look good.
Well, we better get used to it because they have, allegedly a 10-year deal, which means we're going to get 2 shows a year for the next how many years? It's going to be a while. Not looking forward really to seeing the old guys again. I'm over it. The whole concept of it, it's boring to me, but it is what it is, and I'll cover it. I'll watch it, but yeah, it's not exactly the most exciting time to be a WWE fan right now. The shows just aren't clicking for me personally, and it feels like it's arguably the coldest it's ever been, going back to like 93 to 95 in that period. Like, it's hard to think of a time when WWE felt less interesting, and thankfully you have. I know Big G's over there just shaking his head right now, but you got All Elite Wrestling, which is at least generating some buzz, and I think like they're the only hope right now as far as keeping the wrestling fans excited about the future. Because
Wait, Big G's texting me right now. He says, "Can we please talk about NXT?" Anyway.
Okay, go
Big
ahead.
G, well, first of all, what are you doing?
Texting.
Is this a new segment?
No, I'm putting in my dinner order.
What?
Well, okay, this is a new segment. What is Big G having for dinner? What are you ordering? You got to share with the NoDQ Galaxy now.
I am ordering Subway.
What's your take on Saudi Arabia? Do you get pumped for those shows?
I usually work during those shows, so like, cause it happens to be on Friday again, so I'll be at work when it happens live, so I'll watch it when I get home. But I usually stay off social media the whole day because I want to be surprised, what's gonna happen there. With Undertaker being there again. I mean, come on, yes, Undertaker. It really is. Same for Goldberg. He had his second run, which was a lot better than his first run in WWE. He's doing other things now. He can focus on his family. His son's already seen him wrestle. He won the Universal title. He beat Brock Lesnar in 21 seconds. What else does the man need to do? Yes, there are
more cash.
I
mean, it's as simple as the Saudis want the old stars, the stars of the 90s, and they're getting them. They're paying for them, and Vince is giving them.
Now, wait a second here. So here's a funny thing. Now, according to Meltzer, apparently, the reason WWE is bringing back Goldberg is because WWE doesn't want him going to AEW. Now, I find this really hard to believe. Why would AEW want Goldberg? That doesn't sound like an accurate report. I mean,
anybody that's here's the thing with Meltzer and anybody that says this. Anybody that re-signs with WWE or gets in Meltzer's terms, that's because they're keeping them from AEW. That's the narrative that's going to be told for the next year.
They're going to bring Goldberg and give him a big undefeated streak. That's what they're going to do in AEW. That's what I heard. Plans may change, but that's what I heard.
Since we were talking about Saudi Arabia and the last time they were there, Shane McMahon became best in the world. And now Vince is older. We don't see him on TV all the time. He was there for a while heading into WrestleMania. Stephanie and Triple H pop in from time to time. Yeah. Shane is now like the go-to McMahon on TV where he's literally on both shows, feuding with The Miz on Raw, and he did a little thing with Elias and Roman and all that on SmackDown. And here's what I put down. Is WWE using Shane McMahon too much on Raw and SmackDown? Aaron, what do you think?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, I don't understand the point of him being in 2 storylines. Let him finish one storyline at a time. He's still got the feud with The Miz, which I'm glad, by the way, because I felt like WrestleMania should not have been the end of the story. Miz should get his revenge at the next pay-per-view, which I'm guessing Miz will win that match. Shane will maybe go for a big elbow drop off the top and miss or something like that. And then Miz will win the feud. And then you can have Shane move on to something else. But now he's doing 2 storylines, one on SmackDown, one on Raw. It's a little bit overkill, in my opinion. It's not necessary, especially when you have so many guys on the roster that are struggling to get TV time. And then you have Shane McMahon, who's on both shows now. So to me, that doesn't really send the best message to the locker room, the fact that you got Shane taking up time on both shows when other guys like, where was Robert Roode this week? They invested time in him, and then he didn't even appear on Raw this week. So
Yep.
yeah, it's got to be frustrating for some of these guys in WWE to not get that TV time, and you could say Shane's taking up the time that they could have gotten.
And I thought the thing with Miz was kind of over, and maybe Shane was going to be on SmackDown because that's where he's always been, and it makes sense because Roman came out and punched Vince, so to defend his dad, he's going to Shane's going to meddle in Roman's business. Big G, what do you think, man? I mean, is it just to have McMahon's name said on every show, the McMahon name?
That I think so, and I guess the McMahons, they've been around for a long time. I guess they do still help a little bit with the ratings, to help the casuals out. The casuals see Shane McMahon like, oh, Shane's still wrestling.
Yeah, well, look at this week. But I mean, under 2 million.
I know, but I think they're finishing up the feud with the Miz and Money in the Bank, and then hopefully Shane will just focus back on SmackDown and feud with Roman Reigns. That's how I see it. I don't think it's too much because we don't see him every single week. Well, I don't know. I can't remember.
We do.
Okay, but
and he does that gimmick best in the world with the announcer.
Yeah, and it does suck, for the other talent that's not being used on TV. Like Aaron said, Robert Roode, Eric Young.
Well, you'll be lucky if you see Eric Young again anytime soon.
Yeah. Well, apparently they sent Killian Dane back to NXT and Tyler Breeze, so maybe they'll send Eric Young back down to NXT. Who knows? But yeah, that's how I see it. They'll finish up the feud with The Miz and Money in the Bank, and then hopefully, like I said, Shane will go back to SmackDown and focus on a feud with Roman Reigns.
Okay. Well, did you get your sub ordered?
I did.
All right. Sweet. TJS, Shane McMahon, and his awful-looking punches. The best in the world gimmick, which to me is a shot every time at CM Punk. It's blatant why they did that.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, guys, think about those little promos that Shane does that are like 15 minutes long, where he has Greg Hamilton do the best in the world thing. So with that, you could get so many people on TV in just those 15 minutes. Just have them do like 5-minute matches. You get 3 5-minute matches out right then. So yeah, people that missed TV this week: Cesaro, who's a singles competitor now; Robert Roode, Buddy Murphy, who hasn't even debuted on SmackDown; Cedric Alexander, Eric Young, like you said. There's so many people, and we have Shane on both shows, just taking up the spotlight. And I guess in storyline, you can be like, oh, he's the best in the world. He's going to appear on both shows. But I don't know. I feel like if this doesn't lead to Roman versus Shane, then what was the point? I like Shane as a competitor. I think he's decent in the ring, and we know that Roman's good. We remember that spot where he tried to do the coast to coast at Survivor Series one year, and Roman caught him with that spear. So they can do good stuff, but yeah, too much Shane. If anyone.
Now, TJS, I know you and Big G, it was a little bit before your era. Aaron will remember. In the Attitude Era, they got everybody on every show, even if it was just a backstage walk-in or the matches were quicker. Would you rather see that type today to get so you at least see everybody and the continuity?
But I think the thing is they got too much talent on each roster to fit everybody on.
But then again, they got 5 hours of TV. Back then, they only had Raw and Sunday Night Heat, which was 2.5, 3 hours.
But look who wrote for them back in the day. And like you said, we have these soap opera writers nowadays who don't know how to book a damn show right. So.
Well, and there was competition too, and Eric Bischoff did have some good ideas over there in WCW, which lit the fire under Vince McMahon's ass.
Yeah.
TJS, go ahead. Anything else?
Yeah, I was gonna say something, but I kind of lost my train of thought. I was gonna say, and when we say we want like everyone to be on TV, that doesn't mean that we want those segments where like 10 people come out with a microphone like, hold on a second, and then other guys' music hits, and then Looks like we
And
got
it's into like a 6-man tag.
You want it meaningful, like something
Right.
meaningful for everybody.
We need the show to be changed up, and we need to move away from the formula. It's the same thing every week. And yeah, it's boring when the guy comes out, I'm going to win this match. The next guy comes out, no, I'm going to win the match. And then they have a tag match.
Something they did good with that a couple years back is when everyone was on, like they were sitting on ladders at the Money in the Bank, or before the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. You guys remember that? They all did a promo from the top of the ladder. I thought that was unique. But like this week, we literally got pretty much the same match. We got a tag team match between the 4 Money in the Bank guys on Raw and the 4 guys on SmackDown. Like, come on.
Yeah.
The good old days. Speaking of Money in the Bank.
Good segue.
Yeah, seriously. Like, it's been going on for a while. Aaron, you know how Chris Jericho invented it? What was that WrestleMania 21?
Yeah.
Where it debuted, and that was in California and LA?
Yes.
Yep.
So it's been around for a while. It started as an event at WrestleMania every year as a match, and then it turned into the pay-per-view. Now they got 2 briefcases. Do you think with the women, at one point, didn't they have 2 for the men? Yeah, because they did 1 for Raw and SmackDown. But to me, the bloom is off the rose, Big G. I don't like this Money in the Bank concept anymore. To me, you know how King of the Ring kind of ran its course?
Yeah.
I feel like Money in the Bank is there. What do you think?
I 100% absolutely agree. I think I even wrote the topic on there yesterday. It's overused. You know, every single year we get it. Back at when it first started, it actually meant something at WrestleMania. And you only had 1 briefcase. Now you have 1 for the men's and 1 for the women's. It's ridiculous, and now that people don't even have to qualify for the matches anymore, they just get announced. You know, that just goes back to bad writing and bad booking again. You know, it's horrible. I don't know what else to say.
Well, I mean, I think when you've had people like Baron Corbin win it,
Yeah,
Damien Sandow win it, and they lose. Now I know didn't Cena win it once, cash it in and not win?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
but the way they did that was fine. But like your Sandow and your Baron Corbins, it's like, ugh. I mean, how do you make a cash-in valuable anymore, Aaron? Any way to spice it up?
Well, yeah, you got to have somebody win who the company is serious about pushing as the next big star. You look at Edge. Edge won Money in the Bank, and he went on to bigger and better things. He became a top guy in WWE. King of the Ring, when Bret Hart won, that was a really big deal. When Owen won, that was a really big deal. But then they started watering it down. You had Mabel. You had Mabel winning. Yeah, you had Mabel winning King of the Ring. Then you had Billy Gunn winning King of the Ring. And that's when it started to lose its prestige. And yeah, with Money in the Bank, it's very watered down because you have the 2 matches. I'd rather just see 1 match or have 1 match at WrestleMania and then have 1 match at a Money in the Bank pay-per-view. But yeah, I think like because we've had some lackluster cash-ins as of late, it just doesn't have the impact that it once had. So yeah, I would definitely. I don't think you should get rid of the concept, but I do think that WWE needs to be really careful about who they pick this year to win the briefcases.
Who won last year? We were there, Aaron. I remember Alexa Bliss, and she cashed in, and Strowman, and never got anything.
Yeah, both were terrible because Alexa won, and then nobody took her seriously as champion. She lost to Ronda Rousey pretty quickly, so that was a dud. That was a dud. And then Strowman just made no sense whatsoever. His character, it just didn't fit with him being the Money in the Bank holder. And then they did that heel turn, which was a bomb. So yeah, last year's winners turned out to be duds.
Yeah.
All right, TJS. Any thoughts on the Money in the Bank scenarios?
Let me just say right now, Damien Sandow should have won the damn world title when he cashed in. I will take that to the grave because it's true. Man, so when I think of like good cash-ins, I think of Dolph Ziggler on Alberto Del Rio, Seth Rollins on Brock Lesnar, Edge on John Cena.
The Miz, remember? Because how angry that girl was? Like,
oh yeah. So, and that's the thing when you have so winning the Royal Rumble and then losing your WrestleMania title match is one thing, but when you have a briefcase and you can cash it in at any time and you still lose, that makes it terrible. And I mean, granted, John Cena lost by disqualification because there was like a Big Show run in. but that's fine. I think there should be something to fix that.
Hey, Aaron Corbin lost, so that was just great.
That was a joke, and it's sad because
Now, did RVD win it?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
and that was the one night stand against Cena. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And that was that wasn't like cashing it in without the person expecting it. That was like a build up.
Yeah.
Right, and that was actually a proper thing to do with a babyface character where he announces in advance when he's going to cash it in, even though he does have the home field advantage going into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just really bad at this point. And I think Michael Cole said some statistic. I think he said 81% of winners have cashed in and won the title. So that
should be like 99.
Yeah, like it's awful. So I feel like the most the choices that make the most sense to me this year, Drew McIntyre or Andrade. And
well, we'll be doing the predictions video here coming up soon. That it's later this month, right, Aaron?
Yep.
May 19th.
Money in the Bank. Yeah, it's coming up real soon.
May 19th.
Oh no, I said May 19th. Is Kane behind me?
He might be.
Wow. See, we're resorting to that to entertain ourselves because today's product is not up to par. All right, let's do the main event. And it has nothing, it kind of has something to do with WWE, but it doesn't because we used to have a guy we knew as Dean Ambrose. It's main event time. Dean Ambrose, right? I always thought he was cool when the Shield came up. I remember at one point I said he was the most talented member. Yes, I said this. Out of Roman, Seth, and Dean, I said I like Dean Ambrose the best. That was when they came up from FCW, debuted at Survivor Series. Something about Dean Ambrose initially. I think he had some really good promos in NXT, whatever that was, NXT, FCW.
Yeah.
Well, we all know the whole thing with Dean Ambrose, kind of right around the Stone Cold podcast. His character just started to unravel, and it just never resonated after that. He came across awkward, probably put in a position that didn't show his strength. Stone Cold's a very feisty podcaster, by the way. But here he is, gone from WWE, and we hear retirement, taking some time off, rumors to AEW. Boom, less than a month. This well-produced video package. I mean, Aaron, you posted that, and I said, when does this movie come out? It looked like a trailer to a movie.
It
right?
did.
Jon Moxley, which is what Dean Ambrose was called in the Indies. A lot of that CZW stuff. Crazy, blood-curdling. I think he's going to obviously come back to the Indies. What do you think Jon Moxley is going to do with this gimmick, especially that it's so soon? Do you think this has potential to be a big player for All Elite Wrestling at some point? Aaron, I'm going to start with you because this video got over 1 million views. It went viral.
Actually, it has, last time I checked, it has 2.5 million views now.
Yep.
So it is.
I'll start with you on Jon Moxley.
Yeah. Ambrose/Moxley, he has a huge fan base. People respect the guy. They feel that he could have been a bigger deal in WWE. He could have potentially been a top guy, but he was always like the runner-up. You know, he would always come close, but then he would lose to whether it's Roman Reigns at Survivor Series or to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. He always came up short in the really big matches, but then he did have that run with the WWE title. And I remember that Stone Cold podcast, and I guess that did not go over too well with Vince. And next thing you know, they had that SummerSlam match with Dean Ambrose and Ziggler, which was like in the middle of the card and fell pretty flat. And then before you know it, Dean Ambrose is no longer the WWE champion. He gets injured in 2017, and then he comes back to a lot of fanfare. There's a lot of hope about his future. He comes back with a new look. And then there's this talk like maybe they're going to turn him heel. He's going to be the biggest heel in wrestling. He's going to be the heel that we've been talking about. We talked about it earlier, the lack of strong heels. He could have been that guy, but WWE completely dropped the ball with the heel turn, as we documented for weeks going into November, December. We were all talking about it to the point where at the December pay-per-view, the fans were chanting boring during Seth Rollins versus Dean Ambrose. Very, very telling right there. I don't blame the guy one bit for wanting out of WWE. It appears that no amount of money could have convinced him to. He wants creative control of his character. He wants to be able to do what is best for him as a character, and artistically he wants that freedom. So I think this is really good for him. And if AEW can pick him up, I think that's going to be a really big acquisition. And some people are like, well, they shouldn't sign former WWE guys. And I would say for the most part, that's true. But if they can get Ambrose, I say go for it. I say him versus Kenny Omega, I think would be a huge match. I think that would be a big marquee match for them to help potentially secure a television deal. TGS, what are your thoughts on the situation?
Book Jon Moxley versus Chris Jericho in a street fight right now, please. That would be awesome. Especially how Jericho is now. But anyway, man, that video was really symbolic, I thought. He busted out of prison, and then you had the big dog chasing him. Like I said, that's supposed to be Roman, and then I don't know. Virtue sent it to the group chat, and I wasn't sure what it was the first time I watched it. I was like, wow.
I was caught by surprise when I saw it on Twitter.
Yeah, and this is Dean Ambrose's first tweet ever, by the way. He joined Twitter in 2012, and now he's changed his name to Jon Moxley, and he produced this awesome video, or did he? Or is this a WWE production and they're swerving us? Who knows?
Oh, dude, you actually said that. Wow. That's going to spark some comments.
I don't know. They need to do something, but I feel like if it was WWE, we would not get Dean Ambrose grabbing barbed wire like that. So and then there was a cigarette butt. So yeah, probably just Dean, it's Dean doing it. And I feel like AEW is probably where he's going to end up. I don't see him doing any more death matches or anything like that, because after he got that staph infection a few years ago, I think he's probably done with doing things like that.
I don't know, man. I could see him. I know a guy around here called Ricky Shane Page who's been working in CZW. I think there's another guy, Brian Gage. There's some. Not Brian Gage, but maybe the one that bloodied David Arquette, whoever that guy is.
Right.
I could see him Moxley do one crazy match on the Indies.
Well, see, I think if he's going to do it, he's going to do it in AEW. He's going to do it where he's making the really big money. But I'll tell you right now, the best way for that Double or Nothing pay-per-view to end, in my opinion, is for Kenny Omega to beat Chris Jericho, and then as Kenny Omega's celebrating, out comes Jon Moxley. They have the stare down. That's all you need to do. Let the crowd chant "Holy shit," and you have your next big match to launch the TV deal.
Aaron, do you want the stare down, or do you want Moxley to come from the crowd and beat Omega down?
I don't even think you need to have him beat him down. Just come out in a stare down. Just let the crowd, let it sink in with the crowd. Let them do the "Holy shit" chant, and that's how you go off the air. You don't need to overcomplicate it.
My apologies. Nick Gage is the hardcore guy I was saying. I was confusing it with Brian Cage from Impact. Nick, for all those people that are going to crucify me in the comments, Moxley versus Nick Gage.
Yeah, I wish Mick Foley could do one more match and we could get Mick versus Dean. No, please don't actually do that. But a few years ago would have been great, I think.
I was going to say, sorry, Big G. You throw me off ever since you ordered your sub.
Well, I'm happy for Ambrose or Jon Moxley. I've been a big fan of his for the longest time, ever since, NXT, and he came up to up with the Shield. And I'm gonna go on record here. If Jon Moxley does come to AEW, I will watch AEW.
Wow.
Jon Moxley.
Wow. We're gonna be all over that like a hawk.
But I think he's going to do some local indie shows first, like you said, CCW or wherever. He could be taking time off too for a little bit and then do something big, heal up his body and get his mind straight and whatnot. But I'm happy for the guy. Is Renee Young going to follow him when her contract comes up? Or is she going to stay in WWE?
Now, here's an interesting thing. So as far as him working the indies goes, what promotions could afford to pay him what he's worth? He's going to be demanding a lot of money.
Yeah,
and I don't know what promotions outside of AEW or Ring of Honor, maybe New Japan, maybe some Mexican promotions, but I feel like there's not going to be a lot of promotions that are going to be able to afford his price tag to justify bringing him in. You know, if they're not going to draw enough. You know.
Well, I mean, where I'm at, Maryland Championship Wrestling, they've been bringing in some big names. We've had Kevin Nash, Scott Hall, Shawn. We've had Ric Flair a couple times. You know, Ric Flair ain't cheap.
I think
and most of those promotions bring in to do the meet and greets and the signings too, and that's how they get the extra cash to pay the guys.
See, Ambrose is hot off of the WWE run, and he wasn't even buried at the end. Yeah, they were starting to go down that path with him, but then they did the Shield reunion, and he got hot again. So he came off of WWE programming, you know, a babyface reunited with the Shield. He's got momentum on his side right now, so I think he's going to be able to make a big price tag for his appearances.
I don't understand why they let him go out on top like that. That's so unlike WWE.
Yeah.
Well, is that why you're thinking maybe this is a big work? Let's be honest. The 1% chance the 1% chance this could be a work by WWE, that would be like fantastic.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it? I mean, but then they could crap all over it afterwards. So that's why it's not.
Let's say it was. How would they introduce Jon Moxley? You know, if people know him as Dean Ambrose, you know.
Yeah, that's why it's not going to be. They just don't. They don't give.
That was not a WWE produced video. That was done by Moxley and some independent film.
It looked good.
It did. It looked like you said, it looked like a movie trailer. When I watched it, I'm like, yo, what the heck am I watching? You know, some guy busting out of prison. I'm like, okay. I was like, I'm down with this.
With his shoulder.
Yeah.
It reminded me of JBL when he was the Border Patrol. Do you guys remember that?
No.
Yeah.
I do. I know. But you know what it kind of reminded me of, Aaron? Remember that one intro they would always have for Raw's the War Zone, where the siren went off?
Yeah.
And that it showed like the fire in the warehouse and stuff. Yeah, like I don't know why it reminded me of that, but yeah, this definitely
maybe that was done by design. Maybe that was made to.
I would be shocked
How long?
This ends up being a work by WWE, but I just don't think so.
I bet this was filmed like months ago too. Like he's had this ready to go. I bet.
I think he's gonna do some indie stuff, you know, to the marks that'll pay him the money, the meet and greet money, and maybe do a death match, and then I think he's gonna end up in AEW, but we'll see.
Oh, and he released this video at like midnight, so I'm wondering maybe like his contract expired at midnight that night or something, and that's why he posted it at that time.
Right. Yeah, that's why it was the timing of it. Yeah.
Well done. I mean, it got us talking. It has over 2 million views, and Aaron, hopefully brings some more intrigue to otherwise stale wrestling product across the board right now. I know Big G doesn't want to hear this, but is the most interesting thing in wrestling right now what's going to become of AEW to be competition to WWE?
Yeah. And like I said, I'm going on the record. If Jon Moxley is in AEW, I will watch AEW.
You heard it there. All right, that's it. That concludes the NoDQ review number 56. Great topic. I like keeping these a little bit under an hour. Let's go around and do our plugs. Big G?
Yes, NoDQ.com/Big G, NoDQ_Big G on Instagram, Jeff Feltz on Facebook. Like Aaron said earlier at the beginning of the video, NoDQ.com/shirts. Everybody's got shirts. Most of us are wearing #FireVirtue. TJS is over there wearing the retro.
It's a cool looking shirt.
It really is. You know, if you don't like Virtue, wear it. Maybe Aaron will fire Virtue, but it's never gonna happen.
They could even put like some red tape over this too, where it doesn't even say Virtue, and then they can have a cool shirt.
There you go. That's it for the Big G. TJS, take it away, buddy.
NoDQ.com/TJS takes you to my Facebook page. Add me. Talk about some wrestling with me. You can do that on Twitter also at NoDQ_TJS. And of course, PlayStation Network. You can add me, Tyler Joseph Smith. We can play some games there in the Firefly Funhouse. So just
nice.
Yeah. All right.
Aaron Rift.
Okay, so of course, stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest news regarding Money in the Bank and the upcoming AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view. And I believe we will be starting up a new season of Wrestling Trivia Challenge soon. We're looking into doing a tag team tournament, which means that there will be random teams drawn and the winning team of that tournament will get an opportunity to face Greg Cherry in the season finale in a triple threat match. So that's the current plan for Wrestling Trivia Challenges next season.
TJ, me and you as a tag team.
It's going to be random.
Wait, so Greg's going to go all this time again without a title defense, just attack on days? This is so Brock Lesnar. I'm proud of you, Greg Cherry. That, the longer you do this, the more I'm actually popping for it.
Well, would you?
Damn it.
He's adding to his reign. I love it.
How about this? 4 of us versus Greg Cherry.
You get 1 question right from me, maybe. No, I got 3 against Jeff, right?
You whipped my ass.
And I probably knew 2 or 3 others that I just choked on.
All right. So that's all I got.
Well, follow me on Twitter at NoDQ_virtue. Go to NoDQ.com/virtue with a lowercase v. At some point, Big G and I will be back doing Virtue's Rage. I just had some stuff going on. I've kind of cut them out. But maybe over the weekend we'll do something, or at the latest next week. That's all I got for Big G, for TGS, for Aaron Rift on Virtue. See you next time.